Welcome back to CIA Declassified. One of the things that I love about my job, and my job at this point is this podcast, as well as another podcast that I release every Saturday, which is a weekly sermon that's usually less than 5 minutes long. And it's non denominational. All religions and spiritual types, even atheists, are welcome to listen to that. But one of the things that I love about my job is that I learn something new, and usually more than one thing, every day. It's so great. Anyway, welcome back to CIA Declassified. I'm your host. We've seen the agency stumble in the Syrian desert during Operation Straggle. But while that coup was stalling, another mission was taking root in the misty highlands of Southeast Asia. In a land where the US wasn't supposed to be fighting, the CIA built a private military that rivaled most national armies. They recruited an entire ethnic minority to fight a proxy war that the world wouldn't hear about for years. This was the secret war. This was Operation Shadow. When you can't send the Marines, you send the pilots of Air America and a briefcase full of gold. Operation Shadow centered on the agency's partnership with General Vang Pao, a charismatic leader of the Hmong people, Hmong, who commanded a force of over 30,000 guerrillas. A quote from a 1962 memo by Bill Lair, CIA paramilitary officer. The Hmong are the finest natural fighters I have ever seen. They know every inch of these mountains, and they hate the North Vietnamese more than they love their own lives. End quote. The agency operated out of a secret base known as Long Ting, which at its peak became one of the most populous cities in Laos, yet it never appeared on any official map. The declassified archives reveal that the agency utilized the Langley airdrop protocol, using specialized pallets that would dissolve in the jungle humidity to leave no trace of U.S. equipment. A quote from the logs of an Air America pilot. We're flying rice, we're flying ammo, and we're flying the wounded. Half the time we're landing on Lima sites, dirt strips carved into the side of a cliff that shouldn't exist. End quote. Technological breakthroughs included the STOL, short takeoff and landing aircraft modifications, allowing planes to operate in terrain previously thought inaccessible to anything but a helicopter. The declassified release confirms that the agency used the Langley encryption key to coordinate the massive barrel roll bombing campaign that dropped more ordnance on Laos than was dropped on Germany and Japan combined in World War II. Operation Shadow agents developed jungle micro beacons, solar-powered sensors dropped along the Ho Chi Minh Trail that could detect the vibration of truck engines and relay the data to agency computers. A quote from CIA Director Richard Helms. This was a unique operation. We were running a country, an army, and a logistics system without a single official American combat soldier on the ground. End quote. The declassified archives document the Silver Rice Program, where the agency paid Hmong farmers in silver bullion because the local currency was worthless in the mountains. Agency officers in Langley designed the Treetop Acoustic Array, a series of microphones disguised as bird nests to listen for North Vietnamese troop movements. The declassified logs show that Air America was the largest private airline in the world during the 1960s, with a fleet of over 100 aircraft. The agency created Project Popcorn, an early attempt to use weather modification to create mudslides on enemy supply routes using Langley chemical agents. A quote from a declassified 1971 congressional testimony: "The American people were told we were respecting the neutrality of Laos. The truth is, the CIA was fighting a full-scale war there for 15 years." End quote. The declassified release highlights the Mountain Medic program, where agency doctors performed advanced surgery in caves under the constant threat of artillery fire. Operational breakthroughs included skyhook extractions. We have a whole episode on that, and it's used very often by the CIA, where a plane could snag an agent off the ground using a balloon-lofted cable without ever landing. The declassified records confirm that the agency maintained a secret treasury in Langley specifically for funding the Hmong Guerillas outside of congressional oversight. By 1968, the agency was directing over 400 airstrikes a day in support of Operation Shadow. The declassified archives show that the CIA developed synthetic odor sprays that smelled like local vegetation to hide the scent of Westerners from enemy tracking dogs. The failure of the official peace accords in 1973 led to a desperate Langley airlift where the agency had to evacuate thousands of Hmong allies as the country fell to the Pathet Lao, Pathet. The agency successfully operationalized the Pez dispenser bombing method, where small C-47 transport planes were modified to roll palletized bombs out of their cargo doors using gravity and a roller system, bypassing traditional bomb bay limitations. The declassified files reveal that the CIA used opium logistics to fund local militias, allowing the Hmong to trade their primary cash crop for weapons and medical supplies through agency-fronted brokers. A quote from a declassified 1969 CIA field report: "The Hmong casualties are reaching unsustainable levels. For every North Vietnamese soldier stopped, we are losing 3 of our most experienced scouts." End quote. Agency technicians developed the jungle vine antenna, a flexible green-coated copper wire that could be draped over tropical trees to blend in perfectly with the foliage, while maintaining a long-range radio contact with Langley. The declassified records confirm that the secret war cost the U.S. taxpayers approximately $2 million a day for over a decade, all funneled through black budget accounts with zero public accountability. But even with the massive declassification of this operation, the file on the Hollow Mountain is nearly all redacted. What were they hiding in the rocks? Get ready for the theory of the invisible fortress. Speculation suggests the agency didn't just build a city at Long Ting. They built a massive city underneath the mountains of Laos. The rumor is that a nuclear-powered boring machine was used to create miles of tunnels. The redactions hide the subterranean runway logs and the accounts of agents who spent years underground without ever seeing the sun. What if the secret war was actually a gold hunt? A dark rumor suggests the agency wasn't looking for communists, but for an ancient lost city of treasure hidden in the Annamite Range. According to this theory, the redactions hide the ancient artifact manifest, logs of mysterious statues and golden tablets flown out of Laos on Air America planes under the cover of medical supplies. Did the agency use cloaking tech? Gossip suggests the redactions hide Project Chameleon, an attempt to use fiber optic suits to make guerrillas invisible in the jungle, with the black ink masking the light-bending field test. The giant sentinel theory posits that the redactions hide the discovery of a pre-human species in the Lao caves that the agency tried to weaponize, with the black bars masking the genetic compatibility reports. Was the rain used for mind control? Whispers from the declassified files claim the redactions hide Project Saturate, where the agency added psychoactive chemicals to the cloud seeding missions to make the population more obedient, and the black ink hides the dose response charts. The shadow clone rumor suggests the agency used the Hmong to test early biometric mimicry, using mask and vocal modulators to replace village leaders with agency-controlled doubles, with the black bars masking the impersonation success logs. Did they find a Stargate? Some believe the redactions describe Operation Portal, where a magnetic anomaly in the jungle was used to transport supplies directly from Langley to Laos in seconds, and the black bars cover the spatial disorientation coordinates. The spirit radio theory claims the redactions prove the agency used Hmong shamans to communicate with the dead to find the locations of North Vietnamese camps, and the black bars hide the necromantic intercept logs. Is the jungle thinking? Gossip suggests the redactions hide Project Gaia, where the agency wired the roots of the jungle trees into a massive organic computer, and the black ink mask the botanical processing power. Some whisper that the redactions hide the fact that the Hmong Guerillas were actually relocated to a secret agency colony on a remote island in the Pacific, and the black ink prevents the New World location from being leaked. There is a terrifying rumor that the agency discovered a glowing sentient mineral deep in the Lao Mountains that could disrupt Soviet radar, and the redacted extraction logs actually detail the shipment of radioactive crystals to a secret lab in Langley. Did the pilots see UFOs? Some theorists believe the declassified redactions cover Project Sky Orb, an investigation into unidentified craft that allegedly harassed Air America flights over the Plain of Jars, with the black ink masking the extraterrestrial engagement protocols. Rumor has it that the CIA found a preserved living fossil in the deep jungle, a creature thought extinct for millions of years, and the redactions hide the cryptid containment logs for its transport back to Virginia. Was the Ghost Army actually a test of robotic soldiers? Gossip suggests the redactions describe Operation Iron Man, where early remote-controlled mannequins were used to draw enemy fire, with the black bars hiding the mechanical casualty reports. And lastly, the frequency fever theory claims the agency used massive speakers to play ultrasonic sounds that made the North Vietnamese soldiers physically ill, and the redacted audio experiments hide the long-term health effects on the Hmong allies. Was Operation Shadow a success? Tactically, it was a masterpiece of paramilitary warfare. For over a decade, a handful of agency officers and a civilian airline tied down several North Vietnamese divisions that would have otherwise been fighting U.S. troops in South Vietnam. Strategically, it was a tragic betrayal. When the U.S. withdrew from the region, the Hmong were left to face the vengeance of the victors. The agency created a ghost army and then left them to become actual ghosts in the jungle. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the secret war defined the future of covert conflict. Private air power, proving that a civilian front airline could provide the logistics for a major military campaign. Ethnic proxy warfare, the blueprint for recruiting and training indigenous forces to fight agency wars. Remote STOL operations, perfecting the art of operating a massive air fleet out of primitive, unmarked dirt strips. And deep jungle surveillance, developing the first generation of remote sensors that would eventually evolve into modern drone technology. Operation Shadow shows us that the secret war was only secret to the people paying for it. For the Hmong, it was the end of their world. As the declassified files reveal, the jungle ghost still haunts the hall of the agency today. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine Operation Aerodynamic. The agency spent decades supporting anti-Soviet groups in the Ukraine. We'll uncover the Prologue project. We'll look at the parachute drops, the underground press, and the moment the agency realized that the Cold War's front line was made of ink and paper. Join us next time for the steep signal. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.